OpenAI today introduced SORA, our text-to-video model. SORA can create videos up to 60 seconds featuring highly detailed scenes, complex camera motion, and multiple characters with vibrant emotions. For those of you who don't know, OpenAI is like the artificial intelligence generator, basically, that's at the forefront of AI, I would say, or at least like mass commercially adopted AI. Here's a prompt for beautiful snowy Tokyo City that is bustling. The camera moves through the bustling city street, following several people enjoying the beautiful snowy weather. I'm not going to lie, I feel like they wrote the prompt with AI as well. This seems ChatGPT prompt. If this is so funny, I swear to God, these guys, the stem cells that make this stuff, do not have a singular creative bone in their body. It literally feels to me like the dudes that they have operating this stuff are just like they'll die if their right side of their brain even activates for like a single second. If a synapse fires on that side, they die immediately. They are so goddamn allergic to like any kind of creative endeavor. Every part of this feels like is owned and operated almost entirely by stem cells. Okay. And I know I'm on Twitch. I'm surrounded by comp sci nerds. I'm surrounded by stem cells. And it blows my mind how these guys don't recognize the value of having or hiring actual artists or hiring like actual people with some kind of legitimate interest in the arts to like maybe massage it so that maybe zhuzh it up. You know what I mean? One guy, that's all you need. Like maybe two guys. Okay. Get one creative person, Jesus Christ. But here's the prompt and here's what they made with it. The footsteps are a little weird. That person, what the is like seemingly walking on top of the cars, like come in and out, they leave. I mean, there's obviously some issues still. This is pretty phenomenal that they are able to do this though. Like the cars are not going on the road, they're going on the snow, and then they just get lost. If you noticed, there's like some clipping happening there as well. Why are these cars driving on the snow is a good question. Nitpicking like cinema sins? Come on, brother. This is not nitpicking. This is not the fully fleshed out product. It's not there yet. Saying that it's not there yet is normal to say. What are you talking about? The perspective is a little weird, obviously. Like, this is not what it would look like. This person is like really tiny or really massive, rather. Look at how massive this person is. Like, literally almost as tall as the trees. Like, this is just completely. And then they're incredibly tiny. Look at how tiny they became. They went from being giants to being tiny little babies in comparison to the right side, where the right side bar is incredibly high. See, look, all of this, you can probably see with your eyes and like kind of recognize that it's weird. Every single thing that I just described to you is basic fundamentals for art. If you have taken any kind of two-dimensional design class, any introductory art course, okay, you will learn the perspective box that you're supposed to be putting at the center here in the actual imagery is completely the perspective on this is almost as Hitler's art, okay? Someone also said that it's doing Hitler. Exactly. Which is ironic because that's probably where the AI is going anyway. But I'm serious. You can draw. Yes, I used to be a big nerd and I spent every waking moment drawing, and I wasn't very great at perspective. I was as obsessed with the male physique as Michelangelo. Totally get where he was coming from with how much he loves like the musculature of man and like the distorted positions that he puts his sculptures in. I mean, it's very gay. It's gay as there's a lot of issues here with the art, but like obviously this is still pretty crazy impressive. I thought this was a bar. It's not a bar. It starts off like it's a bar unless they're like walking down a hill. It looks like it's a bar and then all of a sudden it's no longer a bar. It's just a second tent or something. Yeah, people are disappearing. Cars are disappearing. The perspective is like completely fucked up. I am never afraid of the AI genuinely replacing me because at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break and the AI is never going to come up with a better debate. There's a lot that is human about the product that I put forward, and there's a lot that's human about art in general. I'm not saying that what I do is art. Obviously what I do is slop for the most part. The SORA thingy is like stuff you can generate for YouTube channels that already use things like AI titles and AI voiceover. I mean, it's great to make like B-roll over. It's actually huge to make B-roll with, okay? That's just the reality of the matter. It completely destroys like people who film stock footage, for example. It legitimately undermines a massive part of the production, right? However, having said that, it's still kind of dog. If you were to put this in a movie, like most people would be like, what the are you doing? It has come a long ass way from this though. And that part is true because this was like literally a couple months ago, maybe like a couple, no, I would say like less than a year ago. And then there are all those like versions of like Mid Journey videos that people make that unironically are just like, it's always like the muscles are like moving in different ways and in different directions and stuff like that. And now look where OpenAI has brought AI prompted videos to. I think a lot of what is wrong with this is that, once again, even like the people who write the prompts, like you give this tool to someone with like at least a little bit of a like an art degree and a little bit of understanding of art, and like they can use it to tweak certain parts of the script or something like that. But I do feel as though like this in and of itself, I don't know, it's just like so basic. Like the cuts are weird. As a 3D artist in Hollywood, I can confirm as a computer scientist's wet dream to not need an artist. I know. And it's so obvious. It always feels like they just want to make sure that there's not a single creative soul that touches this stuff. I will say this much. Once again, of course, all art is derivative. All art is derivative. But also what makes art is that a human makes it. I will forever stand on that. And the irony, in my opinion, is that in order to script this or prompt it, you literally have to make it as mechanical as possible, which literally takes away from the art of it all. And the technical way that you have to write a prompt and script it out, and the limitations of the AI itself make it something very different. What do I mean by this? Like the limitations of the AI is that it is only a combination of all the things that existed before it. Now you can take all of the things that existed before it, try to make something new out of it, but that's not the point of AI at all. The point of AI is to replicate. The point of AI is to duplicate. The point of AI is never to innovate and create something new. There is definitely a human imagination and creation that needs to be a part of it. Therefore, I still believe that like the human component is incredibly important. That's not true. Whenever I talk about AI art, everybody gets mad at me because the art people get mad at me because I say this is going to be a tool that artists can utilize in the future. And then they get mad because they're like, well, this is like replacing my work. And then I also say that, you know, art is about imperfections. Art is about like mastering a stroke. Art is about like putting your humanity on paper in a different medium and an expression, right? And then the stem cells get mad. They're like, you're wrong. Actually, this is so much better than what artists could do. It will never replace the human element. So chill, guys. No, but it doesn't matter because a lot of what we consume is slop anyway. The point is this: a lot of what you consume on a daily basis is like incredibly talented, incredibly creative people making slop for the machine. Okay. And this will take the jobs. But a lot of artists also have to make that slop. They have to make that slop to survive. The greatest illustrators, in my opinion, almost always also illustrate porn because that's how you make the money. You make the money doing that, and then you can focus on that you actually care about. Maybe not like short stack goblins or whatever, but you know what I mean. I do think personally that obviously the leap that it went from like April of last year to what we are seeing in front of our eyes, like that's massive. The point of art is not simply to nail the realism. That's the issue. A lot of people that do not have any kind of background in the creative fields see this as a wonderful opportunity to just like eradicate any kind of collaboration with other humans in the creative fields. Hasan, you're being a terrible materialist. The point is to extract more value from workers without paying them more. AI is only supposed to make workers make slop faster and more efficiently. It's all about the dollars. No, you think I don't recognize that? I have always maintained the balance that I am always going to be an advocate for new technological innovations while simultaneously saying that the thing that shackles us the most is capitalism. It's the distribution of resources and it's the distribution of profit, or it's the creation of profit as a standalone interest from those who stand to gain the most, those who are the capital owners. All matter of technological innovation is used, unfortunately, to eradicate entire sectors, make it more efficient. And there's two ways to go about that. If it wasn't for profit margins at the end of every quarter, then you could actually eradicate the time that many workers spend on the craft so they have more time for themselves while still simultaneously making the same amount of money or even more money, as a matter of fact. We don't do that under capitalism because the capital owner wants to extract the most amount of surplus value. So they use AI and everything else, every technological innovation to do that. I've talked about this a million times over, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be anti-tech. I'm not an anarcho-primitivist. I'm not going to try to do a Butlerian jihad. One, there's an inevitability of exponential growth and technological progress. And two, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing inherently. The invention of the wheel advanced mankind. It was not a bad thing at all. The difference, however, was that the guy who made the wheel didn't make it for commerce. He did not have commerce in mind. Maybe he had pussy in mind. I don't know. But ultimately, it wasn't so that like the shareholders at the Wheel Inc. in whichever cave that they lived in were going to now be able to create an enclosure upon this innovation and then engage in rent-seeking behavior, engage in like some kind of commerce by being like, well, I invented the wheel so that now you can't have it unless you also give me whatever you have. The Industrial Revolution didn't steal a working class's work. It just reduced jobs available. This is entirely different, Hasan. Wait, what are you talking about? First of all, the Industrial Revolution wasn't a bad thing at all. It was a very good thing. You're literally on the goddamn internet. Shut the up. You're a Twitch watcher. It's not even remotely different. What the Industrial Revolution did is, yes, displace a ton of feudal peasants. But the reality of the matter is, it wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. It was the distribution of profits that came with the Industrial Revolution that was a problem. The distribution, who gets to dictate commodity production at what level. And it actually even, and according to Marx as well, for the record, for those of you who have maybe read Karl Marx, was a positive thing in comparison to what came before it. It's not like capitalism is bad across the board. Capitalism did democratize, or rather socialize, a greater distribution of the power. That's what it did. It was historically progressive in comparison to feudalism. The entire point is, it's run its course. Because of the inherent contradictions in the way that capitalism operates, it has now run its course. It is inevitable that the demise will come. This does not mean we return to feudalism. AI is not a positive development. Yes, it is. You are wrong. All matter of technological advancements in that field are good. It's a good thing. The problem is not AI or technological innovation. The problem is capitalism. That is ridiculous to say AI is not a good thing. It's ridiculous. Capitalism is what makes AI and every matter of technological innovation a bad thing. That's why productivity has skyrocketed since the 90s, and yet wages have not kept up with that. Why? Well, because of technological innovation. Technological innovation makes it so that what 10 guys used to be able to do can now be done by 4 guys. Now, in that situation, you can do one of two things. You can still make the 10 guys that you have hired increase the output and therefore increase the amount of value that they bring, the amount of surplus value that they create that they can now utilize themselves, right? Maybe higher wages. You can make it so that if you want to maintain the output the same, you can say, well, you know what? You have 10 guys here. 4 guys can basically do the job of 10 with the new technological innovation that we have. So we are going to reduce the amount of hours that the 10 guys are working for the same pay, and the output remains the same. But the third thing, and this is unfortunately what we end up doing, is to fire 6 of the guys and make the 4 guys do the work of the 10 for the same exact price point. All matter of technological innovation can be used to displace the existing workforce, or it can be used to lighten the burden of the existing workforce. It is the economic organization of society that makes it so that we displace the existing workforce. So I will never sit here and tell you that technological innovation is a bad thing, because it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. What's bad is the distribution of power and resources under a capitalist organization of the economy. So why celebrate the thing we know is going to be used to hurt us, even if it could be good? The most powerful capacity of man, in my opinion, is our capabilities of adapting. What that means is you are, in the next 10, 20 years, going to look back and go, man, AI is so sick. I can't even imagine a world without it. At which point you will not be thinking about the displaced workers, even if you yourself were displaced in some kind of way. It's inevitable, okay? It's going to be a part of your lives regardless. And it's not a problem. The AI itself is not the problem. Okay? Machine learning is not the problem. The problem is the distribution of resources and power. Let's look at more of this. This is still a tremendous leap from where this was only a year ago. And I do recognize that. You have to recognize that. The perspective is so busted though, even in something like this. Prompt: a gorgeously rendered papercraft world of coral reef rife with colorful fish and sea creatures. This could be the holy Moment of AI. OpenAI has just announced SORA, its text-to-video AI model. This video isn't real. It's based on a prompt of a cat waking up his sleeping owner demanding breakfast. Cat's got 5 legs. This one looks so weird. I don't know why everyone's championing it. Megaphonics, everyone is championing it because this is unimaginable. I know it's still janky, but literally think about where it is in comparison to where it was. If something that a machine made can make you go at first glance, oh my God, is this real? Then it's incredibly impressive. Every single one of them has a ton of issues, by the way. Every single one of them. Issues with perspective, issues with clipping, issues with assets like going nowhere. Those are quirks that they will probably have to work on and fix, and they inevitably will, especially considering how fast they've gotten to this point. Like, this is truly impressive. It's truly impressive. Prompt: photorealistic close-up of a video of 2 pirate ships battling each other as they sail inside of a cup of coffee. A young man in his 20s sitting on a piece of a cloud in the sky reading a book. Look at how wonky this one is. Even the SORA mistakes are mesmerizing. What the just happened? This is a specifically broken one, right, that they showed. It is a testament to how good the program is. When you look at it, you're like, what the is wrong with it? Your brain, when you first look at it, is not like trained to think this is AI. It's trained to think this is a real footage and there's something wrong with it. Does that make sense? It's a little bit unnerving when you think about it because your brain is like, what is happening? This is not supposed to happen in the real world. Prompt: historical footage of California during the gold rush. Like, that's incredible, dude. Some of this stuff is incredible. That's terrifying. Holy dude. Obviously, I don't think there was ever a single city this big. Do you think this could be the beginning of the end for content creation? No, it's not the beginning of the end for content creation. It's the beginning of the end for certain types of content creation. So here's what I think. In the future, content creators are going to make different kinds of content. And this is going to be something that displaces people in the early stages of development. We're in the first stage of that. So obviously, this is like terrifying for a lot of artists. Okay. But very quickly, we're going to move on from the displacement to people utilizing it. That's my point. People are going to inevitably utilize it. Creative people in the creative field are going to inevitably utilize it. The coal mining analogy makes me really upset, to be honest. No one wants to be a coal miner, but artists want to create art. No, the reason why the coal mining analogy is not a bad one is because despite the fact that people don't want to do that menial labor, okay, and people do want to do the art, there is a ton of menial labor in art too. What are you talking about? Are you not an artist? Like, guys, this is the part of the problem, okay? Artists understandably are angry about AI because it literally steals their lives' work and replaces them for free 99, which is disgusting. But like, let's be real. If you think about it, there's a ton of menial labor in art. What are you talking about? There's so much menial labor in art. It sucks. I will give you a great example. Have you ever seen how claymation is done? Do you have any idea how claymation is done? For those of you who don't know, let me show you a quick video from Wallace and Gromit. Something that you guys didn't even watch probably. Look at this. Look at the amount of work that goes into stop motion claymation. Look at this. Look at this. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Look at the amount of work that goes into just one frame. Just 1 second. 1 second, chat. And that, by the way, is also identical to the animation that we watch as well. The animation side of it is obviously not as menial and not as like, but it's still incredibly difficult, especially if you're drawing frame by frame. When you watch Dragon Ball Z, early Dragon Ball Z, you start seeing that they use a lot of assets. They reuse a lot of assets. Why? Well, it's because it's impossible to literally show this one punch with 24 frames a second. So I need you guys to understand a lot of this stuff. There are aspects of this stuff that can be mechanized. Okay. Back in the day, photography killed nature painting. Generative AI is doing the same to contemporary art. In the end, photography was adopted by artists and became photographers. The same will happen and is already happening to artists that adopt AI tools. Exactly. And by the way, art or just like paintings didn't go away. It still very much exists. That's it. That's the point. AI is, and automation is, an inevitability. We have to figure out how to work with it and obviously try to get people to recognize that this is a radicalizing moment for many who also hold on to that same fear. Use this as an opportunity to radicalize people and help them understand that it's not the technological achievements that are the problem. I think that a lot of this stuff is going to be used by the absolute dumbest people on the planet, which will probably be kind of funny as far as content goes, because the people that love this, that think this is like incredibly revolutionary and will like change the game for themselves, don't have a creative bone in their body. And most of the people are just trying to make a quick buck and trying to cut one aspect of production as a means of displays. Now, obviously, as it stands, it's not good enough for it. But even if it was good enough to displace completely, stock footage or whatever the people that utilize it are so severely limited in the creative part that it will still be really funny and really bad overall.